Jam 2 has begun. We see our jammers 303 El Nino for Austin up against Stark 37 for Puget Sound. Pack keeping it slow in turn 1. And if you are just joining us on the live stream, that is Puget Sound in white and Austin Anarchy in gray. Lead going to Austin.
Seems like turn 1 is a very popular place. A little hop, skip, and a jump, and El Nino has picked up 5 big points for Austin. Blocking counter to play issued to one of the Seattle skaters. Going to have a seat in the penalty box. El Nino coming through, another 4 points to Anarchy. El Nino going to call it off. That is a 9-point total jam. Right now, Austin Anarchy 13, Puget Sound Outcast Derby at 0.
Right at jam's end, Puget Sound had a star pass to corporal punishment, but no points accrued. Your jammers, Wombo Combo versus Toto.
It's okay. Wombo Combo out of the pack. Austin Anarchy lead 3 out of 3 jams. The one, the only, who I call Toto, still stuck in the pack. Really having a hard time getting past Anarchy's tripod. The dock holding that one together. Puget Sound blockers trying to help their jammer through.
The pack in the back stretch. Austin with the drawback.
Roger's doing a great job of controlling the back there. Wombo having a really hard time re-entering.
And it's clear we had a star pass to Thunderstruck.
We should. Thunderstruck making a little bit more headway. Rogers still doing an awesome job back with Toto controlling the back of the pack. Thunder taking one last hit from Doc before he comes through. That is the first 5 points for Seattle. That jam called. It was a total of 5 for Seattle and 13 for Austin. So we are at 5 to 26. That one woo. A single woo breaking the silence. You can feel free to be excited as well, but there's no pressure. That's messed up. I don't know who's from that. That's amazing, though. I'm pretty happy about that. Was it coming to take me away? No, we was like, ring-a-dang. Oh. Up next, Fancy Pants for Puget Sound. Sharknado again for Austin Anarchy. Fancy Pants finding a way on the outside, takes lead.
A 4-3 pack advantage in favor of Austin. Quick call off from Puget Sound. Three points for Puget Sound and 3 points for Austin. So that takes us to 29 Anarchy over 8 for Puget Sound, heading into Jam 5.
Jam 5. Can I make up sponsors? Anybody gonna monitor me? Can I just make up sponsors? El Nino. It's going to be Stark taking lead for Seattle. Another short jam. What did we get? I think it was a 0-0. That's real life.
First scoreless jam.
It is the first scoreless jam. One of the mics hated me, which is the curse of my life. Every time I get near a mic, it has to make a decision, and usually it decides to fail me. So we're down to one mic. Oh, it was 2 points to Seattle. 10-29. Ermagerd out for Seattle. Sharknado for Austin. Corporal punishment headed off to the box, blocking counter to play. Ooh, Vito Ramon really trying to dish it out there at the front. Sharknado does get past lead jammer again to Austin. Sharknado swooping through like the pack's not even there. That is another 5 points to Austin. Irma held up on that 3 brace up front. Toto comes in to try to help out. Vicious from Austin headed to the box. A successful star pass there at the end, but not enough time to get any more points for Pisad. It is 10-43, a 14-point jam for Austin.
Okay, here at April Angst, we are celebrating Catter Day. And did you know you could support Puget Sound Outcasts Derby? They have a hashtag All Meow Day shirts available for $20 at their merch table. So make sure you contact your friendly Puget Sound Outcast Derby skater or coach to purchase yours today. And of course, here in-house, I'm sure someone will hook you up. Just $20 and you get a All Meow Day shirt. And by the way, on the shirt, they're the Outcasts, not the Outcasts. Meow.
I know, right? You need some fun. Dear Jesus, give me the fun. Give me the fun. I appreciate it. I'm going to drink this Rockstar also. I'm just going to drink all of them. That's why I brought it. Well, I already had one, and I'm afraid I'm going to vibrate. But I don't. I'm like, my jet lag is not wearing off. I'm just kind of like, I slept a bunch, but it just like, you know, it's like,
Again.
I went 9 hours difference from my normal time zone for like 5 days or whatever, and then I'm like 3 hours difference from my normal time zone, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so I went 9 hours difference and 6 hours difference from that one, and I'm still 3 hours difference from my home, so I'm like, oh my God. All right, we're about to get back underway. Fancy Pants out for Puget Sound. Wombo combo for Austin. An empty penalty box. Like a glimmer of hope in the dark, dark night. Fancy Pants takes the lead for Puget Sound Outcasts. Outcasts is really easy to say.
And despite the efforts of Austin Anarchy's pivot, Puget Sound's jammer able to call it ever so carefully, picking up 3. Oh, 4 on that. Also, we'd like to thank our officials here at April Angst, the crew out there on the track right now. We have This'll Be Painful, Fatal Exception, Slammerous, Cupcake, Accidental Doll, Scooby Drew, D-Baggins, Sasquatch, Mistress Grimm, Mitochondrian, and Loki Doki. And we'll let you know who else in just a moment. Back at it, that is Il Nino for Austin Anarchy, but lead going to Stark of Puget Sound. The pack keeping it slow between the pivot line and turn 1. We have a multiplayer block called on one of our Austin Anarchy blockers, leaving the pack advantage to Puget. 4 points up for Stark on the last pass, a total of 8. So current score, Austin Anarchy 43 to Puget Sound 22. We are already just over 10 minutes into the game as we head into Jam 9.
Is he poodling? It was a trick. It was a trick. I know. It's a trick. Corporal punishment out for Puget Sound Outcasts. Sharknado once again for Austin. One Austin blocker in the penalty box. Pack advantage to Seattle. Kieran headed off to the penalty box for doing something I'm sure he feels a great deal of shame for. It's going to be Sharknado through. Lead jammer goes once again to Austin Anarchy. Whoa, Thunderstruck, or sorry. Corporal punishment, narrowly getting through the front of the pack. For the record, I was looking at Thunderstruck, thinking of corporal punishment. Everything's fine.
And just so much action happening right before us. It's really, really hard to keep up with it all. And, you know, dusting things off a little. You know, it's our first game of the day, so thanks for bearing with us. And we're so happy to see all of you here in-house at PJRD. Okay, we have an official timeout. And speaking of officials, I told you who our non-skating officials are. But on skates in black and white, we have Judge Double Wapner, joined by Rumblebee, Matthew Blessing, Jeff, Pete in the Pool, Axis of Stevel, Verbal Assault, and Frau Blucher. If I said that wrong, I apologize.
I'm going to say it's Blucher.
Blucher.
Blocker. I'm not really sure on that one. I don't remember what the umlaut does in German.
So a 4-2 pack advantage to Austin Anarchy as we have a pivot and additional blocker from Puget Sound in the penalty box. Pack keeping it slow, all behind the pivot line at the moment. But lead going for Wombo Combo of Austin. Pack picking up a little bit of speed heading into turn 2. We have a forearm call on Naked Alien of Austin Anarchy. That's their pivot.
That jam called 3 points for Austin. Nothing picked up that time for Seattle. No. All right. Sounds great. All right, Il Nino's taking lead for Austin. Now a power jam. Yeah, power jam for what? Nope, everything's gone insane. It was a power jam, and then it's a power jam. It's a power jam, but it's not. It's a jammer swap. Everybody learned a lesson. I'm almost positive. Automatic landed a huge hit on Stark. Probably one wheel in, that's all it takes, right? Stark headed back out to the box. Now it's a power jam. Maybe I'm just psychic for Il Nino.
And that cut call was courtesy of Tautomatic from Austin Anarchy with a mean hit to the inside. Pack taking a pause mid straightaway. Il Nino pushing it out, picking up 5. Tentative pack. Il Nino taken back. That would be Kieran from Puget Sound. Stark fighting up in front. Austin's pivot to the penalty box. Lots of movement around the pivot line. And that is Stark pushing it out once more, adding 4 to the tally.
A 4-9 jam in favor of Austin. It puts us 27-58, just over 15 minutes left in this half. Like to give a shout out to Lumberjerk, who is watching from home in St. Louis, because this is technically a hybrid call. So what's up, Jerk? All right, out Fancy Pants, but it's going to be Sharknado taking lead.
Pack holding it down in turn 1. A quick call off from Sharknado, managing to keep Puget Sound scoreless on that pass. Austin puts up 2. Current score 60, Austin 28, Puget Sound heading into Lucky Jam 13 with about 14 and a half minutes remaining in the half.
Team timeout called by Austin Anarchy.
And if you are just joining us on our hybrid stream call, live from Penn Jersey Roller Derby's warehouse here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we have Puget Sound Outcasts Derby in white with green accents, and for lack of a better word, black, but actually gray with red accents. That's Austin Anarchy.
All right, swoopy whistle means we are about to get this action back underway. We're going to have 2 Austin blockers seated in the box, so pack advantage clearly to Seattle. Corporal Punishment facing off against Wombo Combo. Wow, Corporal Punishment really mowing it through, getting lead jammer status for Seattle. Rogers headed off to the box. Still pack advantage to Seattle. Todd-o-matic convincing Corporal Punishment perhaps to call this jam. That is a 3-point jam for Seattle, bringing them up to 31. Austin's still sitting on 60.
An official timeout is upon us. And it occurred to us that the rosters didn't come through on the live stream. We weren't quite on yet at that time, so we're going to give you the rosters during this official timeout. Austin Anarchy wearing dark gray, aka black in this game. 132 Ezra Pound, 1587 Florida Freeman, 3 Wombo Combo, 303 Il Nino, 35 Sharknado. Thank you for still cheering, guys. 5 Todd-o-matic, 51 Naked Alien, 7 Spiro, 8 Doc, 818 Vicious, 909 J Poptosis, and 99 Curtis.
And for Puget Sound Outcast Derby, 1-1 Thunderstruck, 1-1-3 Whiskey, 1-2 Nasty Nicky Nightstick, 1-5 Kieran, 2 Vita Ramon, 2-0 The One, The Only, 3-0-9 Fancy Pants, 3-7 Stark, 4-1 Rogers, 4-4 Ermagerd, 4-7 Nomad, and 5-5 Corporal Punishment. Not a single woo. That's fine. I'm wooing in here, don't worry. Got my game face on. It's just my normal face. I'm just at a game. It's crazy. All right, we're about to get back underway with this game. Stark, El Nino. It's going to be great. Pack advantage still goes to Puget Sound Outcast. All right, there's that 5 seconds.
What we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, I've been hanging out on some tenterhooks over here. All right, Stark knocked out to the outside, recycles himself back in the meantime. Ooh. Thunderstruck almost had him held back, but El Nino busting through like the force of nature he is.
Pack picking up some speed as it comes out of the backstretch, headed for turn 4. The jam is called. 2 points for Austin on the last pass, 0 for Puget Sound. So a 2-0 jam, 62 Austin, 31 Puget Sound. Austin starting with a 4-3 pack advantage. Puget Sound's pivot starting in the penalty box.
Whoa. Sharknado narrowly through. That jam called. 2 points for Austin. Nothing picked up that time by Puget Sound.
So, Sleazer, just an observation, this fantastic roller skate pinata that's hanging over our track. I'm very curious if there are plans to bust it or if it is purely decorative.
I feel like it's purely decorative, and that makes my heart so sad to say. But the good news, we got Corporal Punishment out, Wombo Combo out. Wombo out first, but a track cut means lead is still open. And it's a power jam for Seattle. Up, lead goes to Corporal Punishment, and Naked Alien headed off to the box. It's penalties for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
If you're on the track, maybe just go to the box. It's fine. Look under your chair. It's going to be a full 2-minute jam, of which we have 1:11 left. Whoa. Floor is just about as slick as you would imagine. Wombo coming in with his apparent battle cry, which is woo-ba-dee-woo. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly.
Sounds like the darkness.
It does sound like the darkness. Good observation. It's essentially just a mess of bodies at this point. No one's even, oh, okay, somebody's still got their helmet cover on. It's just Corporal Punishment coming through. 5 points for Puget Sound. Was that track cut for Naked Alien? I'm going to say yeah, because he's sitting down.
Yes.
Ain't nobody else going.
You are correct.
Often.
The most.
Yeah, the most correct. Another 5 points to Seattle.
A huge smile as those points added to the board from corporal punishment, rightfully so. A total of 10 points for Puget Sound Outcasts, keeping Austin Anarchy scoreless for the first time in a little bit. So currently 64 Austin Anarchy, 41 Puget Sound Outcast Derby, and just under 10 minutes remain in the first half.
How's that? Oh, I thought he was in his pivot. Oh, it's going to be a power start for Stark, who #butt first out of that pack. I'm going to carry on the World Cup experience, bringing it to you from Philly. That's right. Ride the wave, the butt first wave. Stark that time choosing a face first exit to the pack. That's fine. Mix it up a little bit. Good Lord. You have to move the box butt first. This guy to have the box. All right, that box getting a little too popular. Not everyone can go. Well,
but perhaps both teams are up for the challenge.
Yeah, no joke, you know. Everyone wants to defy me. It's fine.
At the end of jam, that leaves one Puget Sound Outcast Derby blocker in the penalty box and 2 for Anarchy. It was an 8-4 jam in favor of Puget Sound. Current score 68 Austin, 49 Puget. Sound. Sorry.
I have terrible pet peeves.
Well, you said Seattle before.
I know, no. Oh, Seattle's fine.
Seattle's fine.
Yeah, they're from Seattle. Jersey says Seattle. Yeah. So you'll notice the Puget Sound's jerseys say Seattle. So sometimes I'll say Seattle, and sometimes I'll say Puget Sound, and sometimes I'll say the whole name. But never do I call them Puget. The sound is named after a guy named Puget. We're from that sound. Yes. Yeah. And that's how I killed that jam. A 0-0 jam in favor of me. Who hires me? Wow, okay.
Sure is.
El Nino going to take up against corporal punishment. Pack advantage to Seattle. 1 Austin blocker in the box. Huge open inside lane. Wholly unguarded. El Nino finding that advantageous, as you might. The lead goes once again to Austin. Just as corporal's about to get into the pack. Jam is called a 1-point jam for Austin. 49-69, that's math you can do on your own, so I won't help you. 6.5-ish minutes left in this half. I didn't come here for math.
Your current jammers for Austin, that is Sharknado up against Stark for Seattle. Seattle taking lead courtesy of Stark. Pack getting pushed forward in turn 1. Seattle's defense going to the outside. 5 points up for Puget Sound. Both jammers in the pack. Stark breaks free, picking up 5 as he goes. So we've just witnessed 2 natural power jams.
Yeah. Real life. Oh, those points ticking on up. Everybody's ever so slightly sweaty. Ever so lots of, however you express the opposite of ever so slightly smelly. Stark through for another 5 points. What's that going to do? It's going to tie it. So it's time to drank your dranks. Y'all, I got jet lag. I'm gonna die.
Puget Sound currently on top as they've brought 25 points courtesy of Stark. Not to be mistaken for Iron Man. Low block called at end of jam on Sparrow. A total of 27 points for Puget Sound Outcast Derby, taking them to 76 over Anarchy 69.
I'm not going to do the super loud lead change. I'll break y'all's ears. We are getting down to the last couple of jams in this first half. Who to put out but Fancy Pants and El Nino. Pack advantage again to Seattle. One Austin blocker in the box. The whole mess of them in the back, really controlling this one jammer and doing a great job of it. Up front, Fancy Pants is successfully through. Lead jammer goes to Puget Sound.
Austin's pivot to the penalty box. Fancy Pants adding 4. Pack keeping it slow, but turns between turns 3 and 4. Called off a 4-4 jam. Puget Sound at 80, Austin Anarchy 73.
An official review being called by, I believe, Austin. Yeah, let's hear it for Tractate. Yeah, keeping those lines different from the rest of the floor. Thank you.
Essential.
Got a little rope under there. It's nice.
We were just informed that if you have Snapchat, or if you don't, maybe you should, because we have an April Angst Snapchat filter. So we want to see all of the fun from April Angst on your Snapchat. Make sure you check it out. And if you don't have it, download it. Okay, lead going to Puget Sound, and it is a power jam. It appears a multiplayer block call on Tautomatic. Corporal Punishment is your jammer for Puget Sound. Calls off the jam with just 2 points accrued.
It's not just 2 points. Only 2 points. Nah. I loved those 2 points. They were my favorite 2 points of the day.
Well then, I'm glad they were a highlight for you.
I don't have a lot going on in my life. We're about to get this next jam underway. It's going to be Stark with a power start. No, maybe Stark will score more points that I'll be in love with. Vita Ramon was headed off to the penalty box. There's a little kerfluffle there. Everybody's cool. There is an official review called by Puget Sound. So I don't know if you guys tuned into the Men's Roller Derby World Cup that happened last weekend, but you might recognize a couple of these skaters. Doc from Team USA, as well as Naked Alien, who was one of the MVPs of the tournament. Not to brag for him, but I'm bragging for him. He was the MVP blocker from Team Mexico.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
I'm impressed. I was like, I've seen that guy before.
Are you, which mic are you
We're just
using?
that one. Yeah. If one of them's gonna only be in house, that isn't super useful for me, I'm afraid. But I appreciate that it exists.
I'm gonna try, oops, sorry. I'm gonna try to patch it.
That'd be super. I would love that. I feel like maybe that cable has a short in it because it was working and then it moved and it started doing that weird hissing thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
I don't know what it's. Is it under my foot? Oh.
It might be under your foot. Here, I'll actually go this way.
Away.
Sorry.
Happened yet? What? Oh, good. You're actually cool.
Okay, gameplay has resumed. It is Il Nino of Austin with lead versus Fancy Pants of Puget Sound.
So that official review, Puget Sound was asking that the penalty called on Vita Ramon for a forearms. They said that it was perhaps incidental contact. On review, the call stood. As you noticed, probably. So again, shout out to the refs for making life awesome. They came and talked to me. I was so happy. Yay. It's got a pretty spread out pack going in the rewind mode. Game clock is expired. All right, that jam is called. 3 more points for Austin Anarchy, 2 for Puget Sound Outcast Derby, leaving us 93-81 as we enter halftime.
And if you are just joining us on the stream, we have Puget Sound in white, Austin Anarchy in black. Your jammers for Puget Sound, that is Stark snagging lead. El Nino, his opposition. The Austin defense going for the lines, forcing the call off in turn 3, keeping Austin scoreless. As Seattle picks up 3, currently 96 Puget Sound, 80 Austin Anarchy.
If any of you could check your gear a little bit later, you might have an extra gold helmet. And if you find out that you do, you can just go ahead and bring it to me. That'd be fine. Because it's not yours. It's not mine, but I'll give it to the person that owns it. It'll be great. Anyways, out of the line, Corporal Punishment facing off against Sharknado. Pack advantage to Seattle with one Austin blocker in the box. This is now a power jam for Puget Sound. Lead still open.
Corporal Punishment pushing it out. Lead to his credit. Oh, a forearm call, no longer lead. That's right, we're going to have a little jammer do-si-do. Tentative pack. A forearm call on Ezra Pound. Three-on-three pack due to a few penalties. Sharknado zigzagging through the pack, adding 4. Sharknado going for the butt first, but it doesn't quite work out. Has to be properly timed. 4 points up nonetheless for Austin. That's a total of 8 in this jam.
Nomad, a fairly recent addition to the Puget Sound roster, doing a great job there in the back. That is the end of that jam. Thunderstruck also doing a great job if that's what the question's about. It doesn't look like it. He's not paying attention to me. That's fine. It's 100 points to 91. He threw his hands up. I thought he was envious, and it's fine. So 4-11 in favor of Austin Anarchy. Current score, however, in favor of Seattle. If you're curious about food, we have all the Brotherly Grub food trucks all weekend long. Brotherly Grub specializes in traditional Southern cooking techniques and creates small eats with a Spanish twist. On Sunday, we'll have the Roasted Liberties food truck. And right now, we've got Fancy Pants as lead jammer.
And Fancy Pants' opposition is Naked Alien. Pack keeping it tight in turn 1. Oh, but they end it in turn 2. A quick call off, keeping Anarchy scoreless and adding 3 for Puget Sound. 103 for Seattle over 91 Austin. Oh, it was 4. 104. 1 big point, because we know the team with the most points wins, and so they will take them all.
All of them they can get. I mean, no pressure. You do you. Stark Wombo combo. Pack advantage this time going to Austin. 1 veto in the box. Now pack advantage to nobody, but that's okay too. Stark got lead jammer for Seattle. A 2-point jam for Puget Sound Outcast Derby, 106-91.
Starting with a 3-on-3 blocker lineup. Your jammers are Fancy Pants, wearing white for Puget Sound, versus El Nino in black for Austin. Keeping it slow around the pivot line. It appears we've had a forearm call against El Nino, giving the power jam to Fancy Pants. Currently pushing it out against a terrible twosome of Vicious and Naked Alien. Vicious picks up the out-of-play block, taking it to the utmost boundary. 4-2 pack advantage for Seattle. A 4-point pass for Fancy Pants. No pack call, quick reforming right before turn 3. El Nino getting some praise for the little hippity hop over the turn 3 apex. El Nino picking up 2 versus Puget Sound's 12. That brings score 118 for Puget Sound, 93 Austin.
Oh, my word. He made it. Scoreable punishment coming through. Narrowly escaping. Okay, that jam is called, stopping us from the awkward realization that Sharknado accidentally forgot the star. And that's totally okay. I would forget it too. It's real. If you've ever handed me anything, you know I'll just set it down and walk away. Also, the couple of times anyone made me jam, I was immediately like, here you go, pivot. So they stopped fielding a pivot. That's not nice. No. Do I look like a jammer? Because I'm not. I don't know. I haven't seen you skate. And you never will. So we are right now in a team timeout from Austin Anarchy.
I know earlier we mentioned the April Angst Snapchat filter. In case you're not familiar on how to use the Snapchat like those cool kids, you take a picture, swipe to the right for the Hooligans theme filter, and then save your snaps and post them on the April Angst event page. Of course, the event page being on Facebook. Or the Facebook, as the kids call it. Or the Book of Faces, as Sleazer calls it. Also, PJRD is sponsored by Franklin's Pub in East Falls. Franklin's Pub is proud to host every after party for PJRD and is just a mile up the road. Stop by after the last game to grab a PBR and some delicious tater tots. They had me at tater tots.
I was going to say, they had me at PBR. It's weird. If we combine, we become one real person.
We're getting cheers over there.
He's so excited about this, and the rest of you are just...
So good when it hits your lips. But you know what else is so good? The derby that's on the track right now. That is Stark jamming up against Wombo Combo.
Loving these segues today. We're so smooth. Team smooth. That's what we're going to call this combo. But Wombo Combo, much more smooth with his things and his stuff. I hear that penalty box becoming popular once again. Black 818 Vicious headed off to the box. That jam is at its end. 1 point goes to Austin. Wombo found his favorite point. That was it. Ooh, it's 2. Bonus point. That's what you get for being enthusiastic.
That's right.
I couldn't hear him. It's like I'm so afraid to say anybody's name because I can't see it. I was like, don't segue that. El Nino leaping through the pack. Corporal punishment, not so much for jumping. Plowing, that's fine. Everything's fine. All right, no pass, no penalty. Everything's still legal. 4 points for Austin so far, bringing him right up to the century. Rogers controlling the tripod brain in the back. Ermagerd gonna chase El Nino out of the pack. But first is how you do it. I'm just saying. How you get points, it's your hips. But first, it is advantageous. I'm just saying. In an 8-8 jam. Ooh, I'm lying. Hold up. 8-11. Awkward pause. 128-106. Still in favor of Seattle.
Current pack advantage to Austin Anarchy as 1 Puget Sound blocker in the box. But, oh, your lead jammer from Puget Sound, that is Fancy Pants, living up to the name on 1 foot, cutting around the pack. Their opposition is Curtis, also known as Sparks. On the back of the jersey. Okay, we have 1 Anarchy blocker in the box. A forearm call on Curtis, leaving a power jam for Fancy Pants.
Ooh. It's another 5 point pass for Puget Sound. So many things happening at this point. I feel like this floor is a real adjustment for several people. Slick, it's polished concrete. That's real life now. Okay. An official review called by Puget Sound Outcast Derby. That was a 14 to 5 point jam in favor of Seattle. Why are you making me lie? I even waited. I got my awkward pause out of the way before. 18-5, 146-111 in favor of Seattle. So we are on an official review. It was a 50-50 raffle, but I don't know what the 50% goes to. Do you know what the 50-50 raffle was at very last minute, but I don't know who the 50% was. PGRD just hang on to it? Are they donating it? Something was going to be donated to a men's shelter. It's fine. I mean, we've got like a million more games. It's like we're not in a rush.
Would give you more things to talk about.
I know. I feel kind of awkward. I'm like,
I'm so sorry.
No.
While we wait for the deliberation of our officials and their anticipated results of this review, don't forget at 2 p.m. we have even more great things happening on track here at April Angst. We'll have Philadelphia Hooligans, our home team and hosts, taking on Toronto Men's Derby. So glad to hear that somebody in the house, or at least a few somebodies, are amped. I know I am.
Literally no one has cheered for the Puget Sound Outcasts, and it's broken my heart. We brought you catchers. Don't guilt them.
And don't forget about those fantastic cat shirts, courtesy of the Puget Sound Outcasts. Meow. Check out their merch table. I can't wait to go get one. That's what I'm going to do right after the game.
Shout out to Sketch if she's watching at home, because those shirts are amazing. Being harassed by Thunderstruck, I'd like to file a report. It was about cats. Oh my God.
How do you like me, meow?
How do you like me? Meow. Is meow. How do you like me? Meow. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Pretty well, I suppose. If I'm being honest, we're still cool.
Perfect. We'll bring you the results of the official review shortly. Returning to gameplay, a full complement of blockers and jammers. Those jammers are Sharknado for Anarchy versus Stark of Puget Sound, but it is Sharknado snagging lead. An illegal contact call up against number 11 from Puget Sound. That would be Thunderstruck. The pack shuffling as it heads into the back stretch.
Whiskey doing an absolutely amazing job of helping the jammer through. That is 4 points for Austin. Nothing picked up that time by Seattle. 146-120. We are under 16 minutes left in this game. Corporal punishment out for Puget Sound. El Nino for Austin. And lead is going to go to Austin. Boom. That's like the shortest call. It's one tap and a shout of, "I'm calling." But seriously, it's very effective, so.
Effectively communicating. I like it.
Call Off Clinics brought to you by El Nino. 4-point jam for Austin, bringing him up to 124. Puget Sound still sitting at 146. A scoreless jam on behalf of Seattle. Stark out for Seattle. Wombo combo. That time I was looking at Wombo's beard. Thought about Fancy Pants. No Starks there. This is a power jam for Austin and lead to Austin. Stark called off for a forearm.
And Wombo Combo quite pleased. I saw that little dance coming out of the pack. Oh, but in the pack, getting slammed around just a hair. Adding 5 to the tally, making it nice and fast. The pack tentatively awaiting their jammers. Quick turnaround on the tiptoes. Wombo Combo calls it. 10 in total, 146 Puget Sound, 134 Austin Anarchy.
Power start for Austin. Sending out El Nino. El Nino takes lead. Hanging out at turn 1.5. Woo, El Nino comes in fast and high. That is a 2-point jam. Sorry, 3. There is a thumb, in fact. 3-2. Advantage Austin. Overall score advantage, Puget Sound Outcasts, 148, 137.
At jam's end, Austin's pivot to the penalty box on a clockwise block. The pack staying between jammer and pivot lines at current. Defensive efforts able to slow both jammers. Puget Sound with the drawback, but then the pack getting nice and cozy. Four to 2 pack advantage, Austin. Lead headed for corporal punishment and Puget Sound. Oh, you want to play games. That is what corporal punishment says to Sharknado. Corporal punishment going with the butt first, but then changing it up to defensive efforts. Sleazer makes it sound like a feature film. But first, brought to you by the people who brought you Bucket God.
I make you hashtags. I am your lord.
4 points for Austin Anarchy.
Oh, fun and like, let's just chill. Let's just chill here. I'm not going to do anything. Everything's fine. Give me that. See, that's the real soul crush. Does anybody remember soul crushes? I find that soul crushing. I mean, I'm fine with it because I'm kind of a creep, but like, you know. Timeout called by Austin. That awkward time where you're like, is the whole bench waving at me and you look behind yourself? I don't think it was me. It seemed to be a pant scrape motion. I don't know. Stark and Wombo combo in a bobsled formation to start.
Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme.
Sure.
Cool runnings, man.
Yeah, I was like 8. Wombo taking a severe hassle up front, courtesy of Nasty Nicky Nightstick and Rogers. In the meantime, sizable hassle happening to Stark as well. Rogers headed off to the box. Pack advantage now 2-4 in favor of Austin. Ezra Pound et al. Holding Stark back. He's not going to take it. Everybody loves an underdog story, am I right? Took a minute and 13 for lead to be established. Just one of many testaments you've seen here today to both of these teams' prowess. Pound headed off to the box. There was a successful star pass to Todd-O-Matic, but not in time to pick up any points. A 0-point jam for Austin. And at least 5 points. That's how I avoid lying. A minimum of 5 points for Puget Sound Outcast. At least 157 to at most 142. An official timeout called.
While Sleazer is not here to impress anyone with math, neither am I, but just going to point out a 15-point lead for Puget Sound, 157 to Austin's 142. I need to do that too. And I know we have thanked our officials and other volunteers who have been maintaining the track. But a special shout out to our photographers in-house this weekend. I've seen a few, at least 3. I think I've seen Hell Yeah, as well as Hispanic Attack and a few others. So thank you. Can't wait to tag the albums and see what you get. The jam is on. El Nino securing lead quickly for Austin. And a big hit coming from 99 Curtis up against Fancy Pants. 5-point scoring pass for El Nino. Pack penalty on Curtis. A quick call off in the back stretch coming around the outside from El Nino. Austin Anarchy puts up 8 points. Only 7 points separate the two teams. 157 Puget Sound, 150 Austin. Current pack advantage 4-3 in favor of Puget Sound. Lead for Seattle, courtesy of 55 corporal punishment. A cut assessed to Naked Alien, also with a second penalty. The power jam in corporal punishment's favor. Anarchy attempting to establish control at the front of the back stretch. Seattle has another idea about that, going in and able to assist their jammer. Although corporal punishment picks up a cut track call that will lead to a change in jammers. Perhaps not. The jam ends. There were a minimum of 10 points. There's accurately 14 points, courtesy of corporal punishment, taking Puget Sound to 171 over Austin Anarchy's 150. Just under 6 minutes remain in the game. We have an official timeout while some deliberation is necessary amongst our officials. And for those trying to avoid the oh-so-lovely Derby plague, just a friendly reminder, wash your hands, wash your gear, use hand sanitizer. Just, I care about you. And next up here at April Angst at 2 p.m., you'll see the Hooligans face off against Toronto Men's Derby. That's right, they're ready to play. Okay, we have a power start in favor of Austin Anarchy. That is Sharknado on the line.
If I was a jammer on Austin, I'd call myself Sharknado too. But I'd be like, comma TOO. All right. It would make everyone mad.
Sharknado, the original, not to be mistaken for sequel.
Sharknado coming through. 5 more points to Anarchy. ever so slightly inching past turn 2. Will we make it to turn 3? It's hard to say. Stay tuned. Whiskey made it. Sharknado's going to call it off. A 10-point jam for the Anarchy. Puget Sound Outcasts knocked on that. 171 to 160. Under 5 minutes left in the game. Completely doable, no matter what you wanted to do here. I believe in you, whoever you are.
The motivational words of Julius Slazer.
It's the deadpan voice that really likes, you know I mean it, because I show zero emotion. A robot.
You're great. You're wonderful. Everybody likes you. Unless you pick up a penalty. That's a forearm call for number 303, Il Nino. We don't dislike him, no, but just followed suit that the penalty was timed such. But out on the track, that is Fancy Pants, not only with lead, but the power jam for Puget Sound. 5 points added.
Just realized that rep's called Wiggly Tough, and I love it. Oh, my word.
Oh, okay, I was like, she looks so familiar. Wow.
I see. Well, Fancy Pants called it off. Il Nino is going to have a seat in the box for illegal re-entry. So it's going to be power start for Puget Sound.
They're playing Toto a lot, I feel like. Have you seen a lot of Toto? Fair enough.
Fielding is Stark for this power start. But first, get it out there. You know what's up. It's like our hearts are connected, except not like in a conjoined twins way. We're both going to live. Stark coming through his first scoring pass, 5 points. Pack advantage now to Seattle as Totomatic makes his way to the box. Stark pops out to the outside, is going to recycle himself back. That power jam now ended. Il Nino back in play. Was not looking for a hug. He was looking for that call off. He's got it. 4 more points on that pass. A 9-point jam for Puget Sound Outcast Derby. And, also an official review.
The official review called by Austin Anarchy. I haven't received any information.
Well, our alt ref is on the radar, so it used to be so. I'm not going to speculate. Got eyes. Yeah, they can figure it out.
Returning to gameplay, we have a nice empty penalty box and both jammers going full speed ahead, but it is Sharknado. Don't mistake for a sequel, the original only. Lead to his credit.
Sharknado 2.
That's right. The pack extending from the pivot line all the way into turn 2. Sharknado pushing it out, picking up 4. Corporal Punishment back in there, going aggressive. We've seen a little bit more of a defensive approach from Corporal Punishment. It was a 5-0 jam in favor of Austin Anarchy. Current score 190 Puget Sound and 165 Anarchy.
Yeah, I'm feeling like it's, unless it's going to get tied up. Yeah, I'm saying, well, I guess they won whatever we took, so.
All right. El Nino out, taking lead for Austin. And a power jam for Austin. Terrace strikes the Seattle bench. People are crying and tearing their clothes. It's not true. Everything's fine. Ooh. Started off pretty fast in this jam. We're going to slow it down right before turn 4. El Nino getting bumped out to the outside, having to come in behind Kieran. Got Kieran Whiskey and Nasty Nicky Nightstick, along with Vito Ramon, holding it back, but that's what jumping's for. Gets over that, picking up 5 points. 190 to 171 in this potentially final jam. Again, leaping through the pack, that's the way to do it. Another 5 points. Whoa, Stark finally having some luck. El Nino, lucky himself, another 4 points. Right now, a 14-point jam for Austin Anarchy. Creeping on up on that score. Just 10 points separating a tie. Another 4 points for Austin, but 4 points matched by Puget Sound Outcasts. All right, our unofficial final, Austin Anarchy 184, Puget Sound Outcast Derby 194.
And a nice friendly display at Jam's End between both jammers. You could tell both were a little exhausted. Yeah, it's a pretty aggressive game for both teams, but 194 to 184, as Slazer said, and I do believe that is it, but we'll wait for official confirmation, and then we'll bring you Hooligans versus Toronto next. It is final, 194 to 184. Congratulations, Puget Sound Outcast Derby. And well played, Austin Anarchy. I am Banshee here with the oh-so-fantastic, most correct Julius Sleazer, and we'll be back.